A great shaking is coming to this land. It will strike America, I believe, and the world. It's what the harbinger warns of. And it will involve the financial realm collapse, economic realm collapse, and yet quite likely even more than an economic or financial event. I believe it will involve the breakdown of services, the breakdown of infrastructure. That's why it is wise to be prepared.
Very chilling remarks. And joining us now is the man himself, Jonathan Cahn. Not only is he the author of the bestseller, The Harbinger, but also now of a brand new book, Mystery of the Shemitah, which predicts economic judgment on America. There it is on your screen. He's also a rabbi and past president of Hope of the World Ministries and a New York Times bestselling author, as we mentioned. Well, welcome.
Great to be
here.
Great
to see you. I appreciate you coming in. And what is the Shemitah?
Okay. Yeah, the mystery of the Shemitah is a 3,000-year-old mystery or pattern from the Bible that actually lies behind everything from the rise and fall of the economy, rise and fall of the stock market, the rise and fall of nations. The rise of America is linked to this, even what may be the fall. It actually pinpoints the times of global cataclysms, world wars, even 9/11, even events in Israel like the Six-Day War. That has the parameters, and it is so specific or so precise that it's actually, as far as I know, the only source that actually predicted or pinpoints the greatest collapses in Wall Street down to the exact dates. And the thing is, we're in a Shemitah right now, or I'll get into, but it's just begun. Now, the Shemitah goes back to the time of Moses. Basically, what it's this.
What does it mean?
Yeah, Shemitah actually, well, it means the Sabbath year. That's what it speaks about. Every seventh year, there was total rest. They didn't farm. They didn't, the land rested. It was an economic cessation. On the last day of the Shemitah, something very unique takes place, and that is that all the financial accounts are wiped clean. All debt is wiped clean. All credit's wiped clean. Everything's wiped clean. And this was to be a blessing. But the thing is that as Israel, ancient Israel, turned away from God, the Shemitah turns from a sign of blessing to a sign or pattern of judgment that deals with a nation that has known God, driven him out of its existence. And when it comes on Israel, it comes in 586 BC, it actually brings a wipeout. Now, the thing is, on that, the last day of the Shemitah is that big wipeout day. It's called Elul 29. That's when the wipeout happens. So the question is, could this be in effect today in some way? Could the pattern be there? And the other thing is, could it be also linked to, now we have a nation, America, that has been founded on certain foundations. It is rapidly departing from them as ancient Israel did. Could this be? And the answer is yes, it is. I mean, in fact, if you look at the last 40 years of our history, you have 5 major financial long-term collapses. And the years are 1973, 1980, 87, 2000, and 2007. That's when it begins. And the thing is that the Shemitah is a 7-year...
Well, why didn't it go after 87 to 94?
You're great. Interesting. It actually did. In 1994, you have the greatest bond collapse during this time
so
too.
There was an event.
Yeah. I usually don't get into it, but you're the only one who does.
Okay.
So the thing is that, all right. So the first thing is, it's a 7-year pattern. The Shemitah is a 7-year cycle. So you've got this 7-year cycle. Number 2, every single one of these happens not just in a 7-year cycle, but on the actual appointed year of the Shemitah. And not only that, if you look at modern history, look at the 20th century and the greatest long-term collapses, do any of them happen at the time of the Shemitah? The answer is the majority of them do. And in fact, you look at the top 3, you have 1937, 1938. That's the second depression. 1937, 1938 is the year of the Shemitah. You have the Great Recession. Number 2 is what just happened. It begins 2007 and 2008. That's the year of the Shemitah. Number 1 is the Great Depression, 1930-31, where you have it's the year of the Shemitah.
All right. So you say we're in the beginning of it now.
It started in autumn. Started around October.
Okay.
The end of
So what do you foresee happening? And I'm interested. Not only you were talking about a financial collapse. But you're also talking beyond that. Are you talking about some kind of natural occurrence that wipes out our grids, or are you talking about an attack from another country?
It could. All right, it could. Now, first of all, 2 cautions. One is, I'm not a date setter. Even though there are dates in this, I'm not dogmatic that something has to happen in this time period. But the other caution is, it could. The last 2 Shemitahs You had the greatest economic collapses, or Wall Street collapses on the exact Elul
Okay.
29.
But why are you adding in the extra catastrophe this time?
You mean now? Well,
Yeah.
well, it's okay. All right, I believe.
We only have like a minute and a half,
Okay,
but I
okay.
want to hear
Okay.
why this time
Okay.
it's not just financially
Well,
market-based.
I
Yeah.
believe that. Well, with 9/11, actually, it was 9/11 that caused the collapse
Right.
during the Shemitah
Right.
at that time. So I believe that. Well, there's another thing called the Harbinger, which was the first book, which speaks of the signs of judgment that happen in ancient Israel that are happening, unfolding exactly. So I believe it's going to be something much greater. Shemitah can also mean, in Hebrew, can also mean the fall or the collapse. And when the Shemitah began, already what happened in the first 2 weeks is the American age of being the strongest economic power on earth ended. China took over. So we are heading rapidly, and as America heads rapidly away from God right now, the signs are all converging.
But why would God give it to China, who's a communist nation and has nothing to do with God?
Actually, there are more people coming to. Well, China is actually have more people coming to faith, and more.
Okay,
more.
interesting.
America has known God.
Folks,
in a certain way.
fascinating conversation. It's all in the book Mystery of the Shemitah, which predicts economic judgment on America later this year, and perhaps, perhaps, God forbid, worse as well. All right, we'll be back, folks, with the Malzberg. Thank you very much. Great seeing you. Great meeting you. The Malzberg panel's next, but first, this hour's American Moment. Don't go away. Oh, okay, I'll tell you what it does. It takes a look back at a pivotal naval battle that proved to be a very decisive victory for the United States in the Korean War. So without any further ado, let's get to this hour's American Moment.
On September 15, 1950, General of the Army and Commander-in-Chief of the United Nations Forces, Douglas MacArthur, launched a surprise amphibious attack against the Communist North Korean Army at the Bay of Incheon in South Korea. Approximately 3 months earlier, the North invaded South Korea and soon captured its capital, Seoul. MacArthur, against the advice of his military advisors, chose Incheon for his counterattack. The move was risky. Incheon was heavily fortified, and American soldiers would face towering cliffs on its beaches. His maneuver caught the enemy completely by surprise. MacArthur quickly cut the North Korean army in half as their beleaguered army hastily beat a retreat north. For the moment, the government of South Korea had been saved. In an address to a joint session of Congress, General Douglas MacArthur uttered those famous words, "Old soldiers never die, they just fade away," and then added,
"I now close my military career and just fade away."
You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.